All right, I want to welcome everybody and thank you for joining us tonight. We're going to have an exciting talk on hyaluronic acid. Tough thing to say, but it's very, very helpful. Just a little bit of background. One, Darren, who is our speaker tonight, he and Hyalogics have donated a gift, and we're going to be doing a drawing from all the attendees, and we'll notify the winner of a free gift. We are recording this. It's also streaming live on Facebook, and the recording probably tomorrow or the next day will be up on our website on naturalcompounder.com/blog. So if you want to re-watch parts of it, it'll be there for you or anyone else that you think might be interested in seeing it. Lastly, there is at the bottom of, I believe it's at the bottom of your screen, or it might be on the right-hand side, there's a Q&A box. And if you have any questions, you can type it in and we'll be answering them during the presentation and also afterwards. And so with that introduction, I'd like to turn it over to Darren, who is a great educator. He has some phenomenal information about hyaluronic acid, how great it is for us, not just for our skin, but connective tissue for our eyes as we get to be a little bit older. In my age, it can be very, very beneficial. And Darren, take it away.
Thanks, Gary. Welcome to our new world where we're sitting in front of our computer and communicating with each other. And this lecture I've given a couple times, and I always enjoy it whenever I was in front of a live audience because I could see people's expressions, I could visit with them, I could smile at them, I could nod my head a little bit. And so I'm giving this presentation without seeing everybody on the other end, but I really appreciate it. I thank you for Johnson Compounding for allowing me to do this presentation. I'm honored to do that. Gary, you did an excellent job getting everything set up. Thanks a lot. This is my first Zoom presentation, so it's a whole new thing for me. I will say one of the things I was remember about Johnson Compounding is that when you guys converted over and really started having your wellness centers inside of your facility, it was very interesting in how you guys transferred over. You didn't just say, hey, we're going to bring in a bunch of wellness products and natural skincare products and a variety of other products. You didn't just say we're going to do that and we're just going to put them out there. No, you did it, and you staffed them with competent, educated people. I mean, I know I've talked to John and Andrew and Gary, Laura, Stephen, Jenna, Diane. I've talked to everybody, done a little training from time to time, and then we see you guys at trade shows. You guys show up to the trade shows and you walk around and you look for new products and you make sure that the products that you guys carry inside of your facility there are the top ones from the industry. And we always don't like it when you guys come by our booth because you ask us all the technical questions, all the pharmacological questions that are hard to answer, but it's really kind of awesome to have you guys when you attend these shows or when you do these kind of outreaches. You guys are really all about this industry, the natural products industry, which is reaching out to the consumer and giving back, teaching people how to take care of their own health and their own bodies, but then be able to answer those technical questions. So thanks for having me on. Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about hyaluronic acid and Hyalogic. I don't want it to be an infomercial on a bunch of products. What I want to do is give you guys a background on hyaluronic acid so that you guys can go do your own study, your own research, and you guys can evaluate and determine, should I go out and find a topical skincare product, or should I go out and take a supplement with hyaluronic acid, or whatever it might be. But I want to give you enough background and information on it. It's funny, Gary mentioned that we're going to talk about hyaluronic acid. Everybody was always kind of pronouncing hyaluronic acid, or some people call it hyaluronic, and I always just say hyaluronic acid. It sounds like a real scary molecule and term that you wouldn't want to work with your body, but it's actually a very friendly molecule to the body. And hopefully once we get done with the training here, you'll have a really good idea about how hyaluronic works. So we just say hyaluronic acid, nature's moisturizer, just add water. There we go. Okay, so a little bit about Hyalogic here. We started the company close to 20 years ago. We're located out of Kansas City, Missouri, Riverside, Missouri more specifically, but we're right in the heart of downtown Kansas City. A lot of research on hyaluronic acid took place out of the state of Missouri. It's kind of interesting, and we just happen to be in the middle of it here. We came out with a liquid hyaluronic acid. That was our first product that we rolled out. It was our Synthovial 7 hyaluronic acid product. I don't know if you guys can see that in that small image, but that was our first product. We rolled liquid hyaluronic acid out. We take it orally. We said, if you've tried glucosamine and you didn't think that you were getting the results that you wanted for your joints, give hyaluronic acid a try. It's kind of a new thing. And again, this has been about 15 or 20 years ago when we rolled that out. So it's very interesting how we started with that one product. And then, as you can see, we offer joint care supplements for humans, animals, as well as a full line of personal care products. We've got close to 50, 60 products right now. And all of our combined researched information, I think we're up over 40 years of contributing of people that have been here that know a little bit about hyaluronic acid overall. But what we try and do is, the name of our company is Hyalogic. We're utilizing the name hyaluronic acid and logic. So we're creating logical solutions for the body utilizing this hyaluronic acid molecule. But when we first started with the one liquid supplement, I don't think we felt or even knew of all the benefits that hyaluronic acid could do for the body. We were probably just thinking that we were going to stick with that one product and stay with it. But people started coming to us and asking, can you guys make skincare products? Can you guys do additional products? And so that's why we've rounded out our line fully. So hyaluronic acid, the anti-aging answer for the whole body. When I say the whole body, you'll understand why that is, because this molecule of hyaluronic acid is located throughout all of our body. And we're going to examine some of the spots within the body of where this hyaluronic acid is located. Sometimes I tell people, all right, we're going to take the body and we're going to light it up. We're going to put lights inside of it. We're going to light it up. Wherever there's hyaluronic acid, it's going to illuminate. When you flip the switch, the whole body is going to illuminate or light up, because this hyaluronic acid is present throughout our whole body. That's why when people take hyaluronic acid internally as a supplement, you'll have a lot of people that might take it for their joints or for their skin or for their eyes or for their hair or for their scalp. It might be a variety of different benefits, because it is a whole body molecule. It's something that's naturally occurring within inside of us. A little bit about this molecule overall. Our bodies naturally make it every day. So we're making hyaluronic acid right now as we speak. Our bodies are making hyaluronic acid. So we're making it inside of almost every living cell within inside of our body. We're making this little molecule that we call hyaluronic acid. And so as soon as that molecule gets produced inside of every living cell, it likes to sneak its way outside of that cell, and it loves to go interact with water. It's the one molecule that is known to man that has so much of a liking for water. In fact, for every one molecule of hyaluronic acid that we produce inside of our own bodies, it can go out, that molecule can go out and grab on to as much as 1,000 times its own weight in water. And something's very interesting. When you take water and this hyaluronic acid molecule that we naturally produce every day, when you mix water and hyaluronic acid together, it turns the water into a syrupy gelatinous gel. So flour thickens gravy, hyaluronic acid can thicken water. And it's very interesting. We've taken water bottles of hyaluronic, or just water bottles, and we've sprinkled a little bit of this hyaluronic acid in the top of it, put the cap on it, shook it up, set it off to the side, came back a week later, and when you tried to pour that water out, it comes out like syrup. It's no longer going to be a thin, watery fluid. It's a thick, viscous, syrupy gel. So that's the greatest role of hyaluronic acid in our body, is it goes out and it interacts with body water, turning that water into a gel so that that gel can stay compartmentalized throughout our body. It can stay in our skin for hydration and plumpness. It can stay in our joints for cushioning and lubrication. It can stay in our scalp for moisturizing and nourishing our scalp. It can stay inside of our eyes for balancing the fluid inside of the eyes. It can stay in our gums and our teeth for plumpeting and hydration. Even our lips have hyaluronic acid in them throughout. But whenever the hyaluronic acid and water solution mix together, it turns it into a gelatinous solution so that it can stay compartmentalized. I always tell people, if you went to bed at night and you didn't have hyaluronic acid that your body naturally produced, you'd go to sleep at night, wake up the next morning, you'd have to take and push all that water. You'd look like a blob on the bed first. You'd have to push all that water back into certain compartments of your body, push it back in your skin, push it back in your joints. But since it's nice and thick and viscous, this hyaluronic acid stays compartmentalized. And it's located in almost every part of our body to provide benefit. It is considered a long-chain sugar. It's a long sugar molecule. Our bodies make sugars and fats and proteins every day. Hyaluronic acid is just one of the sugar molecules that our body naturally produces. But what's very interesting is it's a sugar molecule that can grab onto as much water as it needs, up to 1,000 times its own weight in water. So no other sugar molecules in your body have such a high liking for the water as this one does. So it is, they call it a polysaccharide, poly meaning many, or saccharide meaning sugars. So it's a long chain sugar. And when you look at it underneath the microscope, it takes on a linear or a rope-like appearance. So we'll get into that here in just a little bit as it shows it takes on a rope-like appearance. It's known as nature's most water-loving molecule. So now they're saying that aging is really kind of essentially drying out, or drying out is aging. And the most water-loving molecule inside of your body is hyaluronic acid that we naturally produce every day. So now they're really looking at hyaluronic acid and saying this is really a key factor into why we're aging. We're just not making this hyaluronic acid that we used to. We got to find some way to keep it inside of the body. So as you can see, this image here just shows you when this hyaluronic acid and water mix together, it takes on a gelatinous gel fluid. And if you try to squeeze that fluid together, it's going to push back, because thick viscous fluids by nature, they're non-squeezable. You try and push them together and they push back. So think if you had that fluid inside of your joints. Now you got nice, comfortable cushion. You got like a pillow in between your bones so you can comfortably glide along each day in movement. So this is just a good example, what we try to get. We were not the first to come up with this hyaluronic acid molecule. Obviously, it's been around since the 1930s. That's when Carl Meyer discovered this molecule. They were actually using this clear viscous gel as kind of like an egg white substitute, because it's almost like an egg white, but it's a little bit more viscous and it's a lot more slipperier. If we spill some of this hyaluronic acid in water on a concrete floor, it's almost like a skating rink. It's very slippery, but it's very hydrating for the body. They've been using hyaluronic acid in the medical field since the mid-'80s and maybe even earlier. The field of orthopedic injections, the doctors would inject this thick viscous gel, and they still do to this day. They inject this thick viscous hyaluronic acid into the knee joints, and what it does is just pushes the bones apart, gives you a nice, comfortable fluid motion. The ophthalmologists and optometrists, they've been using hyaluronic acid for quite some time too in the fields of optometry. Topically, it's been used. There was an oral study or information that came out. It was called The Village of Long Life. It was a 2020 news story that came out about 12, 13 years ago, where they featured this village in Japan, and these people were not aging. They simply were living well into their 80s and 90s. None of them had joint problems. Their skin looked amazing. They didn't wear glasses. And they were trying to figure out what's going on with this village in Japan. How come these people are not aging, but the surrounding villages are? And they found out that they grew a starchy root crop vegetable that was only native to their village. And they were eating these starchy root crop vegetables. And I believe what they were saying is it was building up the hyaluronic acid, or they were getting the precursors to making this hyaluronic acid inside of their body. So they were getting hyaluronic acid through their diet, supposedly is what it was. But when that story aired on 2020, everybody started heading to Johnson's Compounder or any other independent health food store, and they said, where can I get these starchy root crop vegetables that I can consume, that I can get this hyaluronic acid for my body? But there really wasn't a good food source for this hyaluronic acid. So people start saying, well, what's the next best thing? Can I take it internally as a supplement, or can I apply it topically in a skincare product? So we started finding out a lot of different benefits that people were looking for, and that's when the natural channel industry started really pioneering the field of hyaluronic acid. But again, it was first used in the medical community, and it still is to this day, with some very successful benefits to patients and people. This just gives you a quick, people always cringe when they see this. Oh, that's the knee injections that you see. They even do injections into the skin to plump up the skin. Think about it. You're pushing this thick, viscous, naturally occurring gel back into a skin pocket, and what it does, it just fills the skin back up so that you don't have that wrinkled appearance. We talked about the ophthalmologists started using hyaluronic acid. At one time, they were injecting it into the eye during pre-surgeries and so on. This is just an example of the Village of the Long Life, the ABC 2020 news story. You can still find that up on YouTube and watch it. Just type in Village of Long Life. It's kind of cool. It's about a 20-minute segment, I believe, and it really talks about these people and how it all got started. If I would have saw that like I did back 13 years ago, I probably would have ran to my local health food store or pharmacy to try and pick up hyaluronic acid myself, because it was pretty intriguing conversation. But again, the natural products industry has helped pioneer the field of hyaluronic acid in its modern day uses, and the customers are now taking notice. It's very interesting. If I would have stood out on the street corner where you guys are at, up there in the Northeast, any street corner, and I could have said, this is 15, 20 years ago, I could have asked 1,000 people, what do you know about hyaluronic acid? Have you ever heard about it? Do you know that it's naturally occurring inside of your body? And probably I might get one person out of 1,000 that said, oh yeah, I've heard of hyaluronic acid. It's nature's moisturizer for the body. Fast forward to today, and I could do that same thing and ask people, have you heard about hyaluronic acid? I'd probably get quite a few people that have heard about hyaluronic acid. And the reason being is we're being bombarded with it. There's TV commercials about hyaluronic acid products. There's newspaper articles about hyaluronic acid products. There's industry magazines about hyaluronic acid products. And you got qualified people at pharmacies that can stand there and teach and train you about hyaluronic acid and about its benefits. But when we started with that one liquid oral hyaluronic acid, we didn't know what it was going to turn into. Now we've got, skincare products that people are searching for with hyaluronic acid overall. But this hyaluronic acid molecule, this is just another little slide that shares with you. It's comprised of two molecules. Believe it or not, one molecule is that glucosamine. We've all heard of glucosamine for all those years. This is why we called it a glucosamine alternative, because glucosamine is part of the hyaluronic acid molecule. The other piece that it needs to connect with is glucuronic acid. So it goes glucosamine, glucuronic acid, glucosamine, glucuronic acid, glucosamine, glucuronic acid. And these two molecules just keep repeating themselves over and over again. And that's what makes this long rope-like appearance of this molecule overall. Remember, it can bind up to 1,000 times its own weight in water. It takes on a rope-like appearance. I used to go and do trainings, and I'd stand there and I'd throw a 20-foot rope out across the floor, just as a macro visual of what the microscopic molecule of HA looks like in your body. And I'd throw that rope out across the floor, and people would be like, what's that for? And I'd say, that's just gives you an idea that hyaluronic acid takes on a linear or a rope-like appearance. And people are like, that's crazy. Well, why does it take on a rope-like appearance? I said, well, anything that's got to bind up to 1,000 times its own weight in water, it's got to have a lot of surface area. It's got to have a lot of room for binding to that water, and that long linear rope-like molecule is what gives it its ability to grab onto that water. Now, when you get a whole bunch of these molecules of hyaluronic acid that are naturally produced by our own bodies every day, when you get a whole bunch of them in one area and they've bound to water, that's how they bunch together and they create surface tension, and all those water molecules are next to one another. That's what creates that thick, gelatinous naturally occurring solution of hyaluronic acid water in our body. Remember, flour thickens gravy, hyaluronic acid thickens water overall. But this molecule of hyaluronic acid is found in almost every part of our body, and that's why it's so convenient that it's made in almost every living cell in our body. And remember, our body water composition is about 70%. So as soon as that molecule gets produced inside of the cells, it sneaks out and grabs onto that water. So there's plenty of water for it to interact with. This just gives you another idea of this molecule. If you'll see the little yellow strands at the top, those are those little hyaluronic acid strands as they sneak outside of what they call the cell membrane. They kind of sneak out, and sitting on the outside of those cells is the extracellular fluid. We're just filled up with a lot of fluid in our body, and we want that fluid to be nice and thick and viscous so that we can have that goo or that gel substance throughout our body overall. This is just another little visual. I do the spaghetti. I'm just kind of reiterating the rope-like appearance of this molecule. Again, it's naturally occurring inside of the body. Now, I will tell you though that whatever we make today, we're making hyaluronic acid right now. Whatever we make today in our body, it's going to be gone in about 3 to 5 days. So we've got to continuously be making hyaluronic acid each day. Our bodies need to continue it. But if our bodies, as we age, if we get a little bit, every year we get a little bit older, we produce less and less. So I always tell people those little factories inside of our cells, they're just getting worn out. They just can't produce the hyaluronic acid like they used to. They haven't been able to figure out why our bodies slow down on the production of hyaluronic acid, but they're really trying to figure it out because it is the most water-loving molecule that's inside of our body, and we don't want to dry out the body because aging sets in. So what breaks it down in our body? Well, just simply age, compression. What we're doing is we're cutting up these long rope-like molecules into smaller rope fragments. They're just being destructively broken down, and when that happens, they can't hold the moisture or the water that they used to, and then we can have a thinning of the fluid inside of our joints, or a thinning of that fluid inside of our skin, or a thinning of that fluid inside of our eyes. We don't want it to be thinned out. We want it to be nice and thick and syrupy overall so that we can maintain healthy cushion and hydration throughout our body overall. But again, we make it every day, but it's being broken down in our body naturally. So we're in a continuous build-up mode and breakdown mode, but there is a certain point in time where we slow down on the production of this hyaluronic acid in our body. So when it thins out, it leaks out, it becomes water-like. It can no longer provide the cushion, the lubrication, the hydration for the body. That's why people are reaching for it in a dietary supplement or a topical skincare product or a toothpaste or an eye drop or a nasal spray, just a variety of different ways that we can get this hyaluronic acid back into the body overall. This is just another idea. They're showing you that the human body degrades about 1/3 of the hyaluronic acid stores each day. And then what are some of the functions in the body? It's a natural moisturizer. It's a shock absorber for the joints. It works on the body. It transports nutrients to and from the body. So we're losing it. We're losing this hyaluronic acid in our body. By the age of 50, our skin can have as much as 50% less hyaluronic acid. So we want to keep that hyaluronic acid in our body. We're going on a downward trend. And again, that's why it's becoming so popular from a skincare component or a beauty from within supplement type component. So where is it found in the body and what's its role? We talked earlier about if you light up the molecule of HA, you flip the switch and the whole body is going to illuminate wherever it's at. So the body this hyaluronic acid is everywhere. But some of the primary areas that people are looking for hyaluronic acid are for the eyes, the gums and the teeth, the joints, the skin, the hair follicles, the scalp. I mean, we've got a whole bunch of different areas that people are looking for it. Now remember, when we started with a liquid supplement, the Synthovial 7, we were touting that product as just being a joint health supplement. It's going to help your joints, keeping them maintained and healthy. People came to us and they said, wow, I'm seeing benefits for my skin, or I'm seeing benefits for my eyes, or I'm seeing that my hair is more vibrant and full, or My dentist wants to know what I'm doing. My teeth and gums look healthier. So there's a lot of different benefits by taking hyaluronic acid. It's not just for the joints anymore. That's why you'll see a lot of our packaging say for joints, skin, and eyes. And I think other people are picking up on that too, because they're looking for this hyaluronic acid as a whole body beneficial effect overall. You can see this is just an example. This is just a slide. On the left, we had some small, lower thinned out molecules of hyaluronic acid. When you drop the ball bearing, it breaks the slide because there's no gel cushion. But the slide on the right, the ball bearing goes down and it hits that thick gelatinous fluid, and then it pushes back up. So it makes a very thick, viscous substance overall. So a lot of people are taking hyaluronic acid for their joints. The joints are surrounded by a little fluid membrane, and trapped inside of that fluid is a fluid called synovial fluid. It's like motor oil for our joints. Every one of our large movable joints inside of our body contains this lubricating hyaluronic acid fluid. So it's necessary because when we stand up, that fluid there pushes the bones apart, keeping them from rubbing on top of one another. And remember, that fluid is very slippery, so it just glides. So those bones just kind of glide across that fluid. So every day we get up, we're walking on fluid or water, basically. And so this hyaluronic acid is a critical component. There are some people that are walking around that they don't have any fluid. So their bones are like putting chalk on a chalkboard. You keep writing with that chalk, and next thing you know, that bone is gone. You want to get the fluid back to the joints. We tell people, you didn't drive your car today without engine oil. Why operate your joints without joint fluid? We're not just talking about the knee joints either. We're talking about the hips and the ankles and the wrists and the elbows and the shoulders. All of these large movable joints contain that lubricating fluid of hyaluronic acid. So we definitely want to keep hyaluronic acid inside of our body. Taking it internally can maintain healthy joints, and applying it topically in a cream or a rub, a joint cream rub, can produce some really nice benefits also. We talked earlier about the goo or the gel throughout our body surrounding our cells. They call that the extracellular matrix. So inside of our cells, we're producing hyaluronic acid, and outside of our cells is fluid. We want to thicken that fluid up. That's what hyaluronic acid does. It comes out and builds up that fluid inside of our joints. Believe it or not, every stretchable tendon and ligament and fiber in our body contains collagen and elastin. They're two stretchable elastic molecules. Those elastic molecules need to be coated and nourished by a water-loving gel of hyaluronic acid. So I'll tell people, I'll say, hey, if I took this rubber band and I stretched it 1,000 times, and I'll stand there in front of people, I go, I got this rubber band, I stretch it 1,000 times, what's going to end up happening? Most people say, well, it's going to dry out, over distend, and break. And I say, great. What if I take that same rubber band and I stick it in a bucket of water and I keep stretching it? And they say, well, it's going to stay hydrated. You're not going to have any issues at all. And I say, exactly. So hyaluronic acid is the water gel that nourishes and hydrates every tendon and ligament. And as Gary said earlier, that's our connective tissue. That's the parts of our body that connect us together. And if you can hydrate those parts, you can keep them healthy. You can maintain flexibility. So it's a critical component. Now they're starting to realize that hyaluronic acid is beneficial in a variety of different areas. The other thing that most people didn't realize is our eyes are composed of fluid. They call it the vitreous humor. I tell people it's like taking syrup and putting it inside of a balloon. You put syrup inside of a balloon, you fill it up. Now you can squeeze that syrup or that balloon and release it, and it goes back into shape. That's what hyaluronic acid and water do on the inside of our eyes. They just call it the vitreous humor, or I call it the vitreous gel. What that gel does is it maintains a stable eye structure. Well, what happens with that decreased HA? Well, we may lose that viscosity or that thickness inside of the eyes. So now we start having trouble with our eyes. We can start seeing some issues come about with our eyes. And that's why people start to look at hyaluronic acid as a eye supplement nutrient. They're either adding it to their current eye nutrients, or they're finding it as a standalone type add-on because of you can do everything you want to do for the eyes, taking all your eye nutrient formulas, but you want to maintain the fluid viscosity for the eyes, and that's what hyaluronic acid does. We talked about hyaluronic acid in our gums. I mean, you can rub this stuff on your gums and in a toothpaste, works excellent. There's hyaluronic acid is what keeps our gums nice and moisturized and hydrated overall. The anatomy of the skin, I tell people there's a top layer of the skin called the epidermis. There's a bottom layer of the skin called the hypodermis. Trapped in between is the dermis, the dermal layer. That's why they call it, you hear people talk about dermal fillers. That's that thick fluid gel filler on the inside of the skin. Now they're saying hyaluronic acid is a large component of that dermal filling fluid. It's that gel that we talked about earlier. Our skin is always being pushed in on. The atmosphere is always pushing in on our skin. If we don't have an equal or an opposite reaction of fluid pushing back up on that skin, we can get a wrinkle or a crevice. So hyaluronic acid is that fluid hydrating gel inside of the skin that pushes that skin upward to maintain the tightness. But it's also nourishing all of those collagen fibers in our skin. Sometimes I tell people, grab your skin, stretch it, release it, snaps back into shape. That's that hyaluronic acid gel that's inside of our skin that keeps all of those collagen fibers nice and hydrated. All of those rubber bands we were talking about earlier. If you want to know why we have elasticity in our body and our skin, it's because of those collagen fibers, but they're bathing in that hyaluronic acid bath there. So when we don't have that hyaluronic acid in our skin, we don't have that space-filling fluid, we don't have that moisturizing, nourishing fluid for the collagen, so skin can sag. We can have all kinds of issues that can come about when that occurs. So we talk about the young versus old appearance, the role of HA in the skin. It allows the skin to maintain moisture. I always tell people babies have so much hyaluronic acid in their skin that we oftentimes mistake it for being all baby fat. Well, it's not a lot of baby fat, it's a lot of this hyaluronic acid. They have so much hyaluronic acid in their skin that it maintains the plumpness or the hydration of their skin. But as we get older, the amount of hyaluronic acid present in our skin drops off, and we start having skin that doesn't have that filling fluid underneath, that push, that equal and opposite reaction to push the skin back up. So we call it the plum to the prune or the grape to the raisin. We want to take that raisin and rehydrate it back to that grape-like component. We want our skin to be like it was when we were youthful and young and we had all the different benefits overall. Just like this baby here, lots of hyaluronic acid in our skin when we're youthful and young, but as we get older, we produce less and less and less of it. So how do you get it back in your skin? You take it orally, you apply it topically. There's a variety of ways to benefit your body with this hyaluronic acid. And remember, it's something that's naturally occurring inside of our body. So it's not something that we're introducing back to the body that's foreign to the body. In fact, your body welcomes it in. It says, oh, okay, I already recognize you. You're part of my skin already. Or you're already in my eyes, or you're already in my joints, or you're already in my gums and my teeth and my hair. So it's a naturally occurring element overall. Focus on what's important. We're going to go after the hydration. That's the key element. We want to hydrate. Remember, we talked about aging is essentially drying out, or drying out is aging overall. Not all hyaluronic acid is creating equal. So when you look for a hyaluronic acid product, you want to try and get a molecule of hyaluronic acid that if you can, this is in our opinion, you want to try and go for a molecule that's non-animal derived, and you want to try and find a molecule that's got a very long rope-like molecule. The larger or the longer the rope-like appearance, the more water binding capacity that it has. So we always say search for high molecular weight molecules and try to go for that vegan-friendly, non-animal derived material. I think you're going to find a product or a molecule that's more identical to what you already have inside of your body. So when it's put into a cream or a lotion or an oral supplement or a gummy or a chewable that you take by mouth, we feel that you're going to have a more identical molecule to what you already have inside of your body. And then if that's the case, we feel like you're going to have a better opportunity to get the benefits that you're looking for. We always tell people when you're trying a hyaluronic acid product, you don't have to try it for 6 months. We always tell people try it for 30 days. Try a topical product for 30 days. See if it works. If it doesn't, then don't waste your money on it anymore. But you shouldn't have to try it for more than 30 days to see the results, because it is something that really can provide some pretty nice benefit for your body overall. This is just another example of low molecular weight versus high molecular weight. We have a few different things that we talk about. I'm just going to skim down through real quick. So we can jump into a couple of the products. I see that you guys have a lot of questions, and I want to make some time for that. Let's just do a little take home overall. Joints, skin, eyes, gums, hair, all different areas of the body that we can see the kind of benefits for our body overall. So I don't know if you guys can see me now. I just took off the slide sharing screen, and I know Gary said there's some questions that we have too. I just want to go back through a couple things real quick. So when we talk about a rope-like molecule, I always show people this little long rope-like molecule. So remember, the molecule of hyaluronic acid is glucosamine, glucuronic acid, glucosamine, glucuronic acid, and so on and so on and so on. So we're making millions of these little rope-like molecules inside of our cells, and then they sneak outside of the cell and they start to interact with water. So this is my rope analogy that I show. Now, sometimes if I took a smaller little section, what if my rope was only this long? Could it hold that much water? Not really. It could hold some, but this one could hold a lot more water. So the larger the molecule, the more water binding capacity that you have overall. This is an example. This is a thick viscous gel. This is hyaluronic acid in water. You can see there's an orange marble inside of there. When I tilt that upside down, you can see that thick gel just kind of sits in there. It's very viscous. That was an air pocket that it hit right there. But you can see once it reaches the gel format, it kind of sits there. So that's your gel fluid in your joints. That's your gel fluid in your skin. That's your gel fluid in your eyes. That's the gel fluid throughout your whole body overall. So that just gives you a visual of how thick this stuff is. So remember, we're making this hyaluronic acid naturally, and we already have body water inside of our body, so it just starts to interact in creating a gel solution. Don't forget the rubber band too. These are the stretchy elastic fibers. They're constantly being nourished by hyaluronic acid all the time, staying moisturized and maintained overall. I always tell people, I bring this little guy. I don't know if you remember this guy. It's a little stand-up guy. It's got little rubbery things on it, but as soon as you push the bottom, it falls over. That's that connective tissue that Gary was talking about earlier. That's everything that connects our body together. Hyaluronic acid bathes all of those water fibers in the body. One other thing too, I'll just show you. This is our pure hyaluronic acid. This is a sample pouch. This is the one thing that they carry at Johnson Compounder. This is our one serum. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I squirted that in my palm of my hand, and it's a very thick, viscous gel. I always tell people, do the gel challenge. So put this hyaluronic acid on there, tip it upside down, and it's going to stay there. So what we do is we can apply that as a topical skincare product. This is one of the ones that Johnson Compounding has at their store. We talked about, we make a gummy product. We have a gummy that you can take your hyaluronic acid by mouth each day. We've got chewable lozenges. These are the ones, this is a sugar-free chewable lozenge. This is another one that Johnson's has on their stuff. We also have a dry mouth mints. It's kind of interesting, the water-loving, moisturizing molecule of hyaluronic acid, when you take it internally or keep that little mint inside of your mouth, it mixes with the saliva, and it's a moisturizing element overall. We've got a toothpaste with hyaluronic acid. People always told us, they said, I want to get it back to my gums. I want to brush my gums. We got a variety of different products. A eye drop with hyaluronic acid, a scalp spray, hydrating your scalp. People are always saying, my scalp is dry. I want to moisturize it. You guys make a scalp spray. We have a shampoo, a conditioner, got a body lotion. You can give your body a drink of water as soon as you get out of the shower. You start to apply the body lotion overall. We have scar serums, moisturizing. What you're doing is just continuing to moisturize the body overall. We've got a lip balm, which is an excellent product for applying moisture to the lips. The other product that if you don't like gummies or chewables or liquids, the Optimize HA capsule. This is a good seller for us, and I think it's a nice product that's been carried at Johnson's Compounding also. This is an easy capsule. You just take it, you get your hyaluronic acid each day. You'll see on the outside it says whole body HA. You're going to get benefits, you know, throughout the body overall. We've got a foot cream. People said, hey, my feet are dried out. Do you have anything to moisturize it? And then a couple other little things. Somebody always said, hey, can I just take, when we go to trade shows, they said, can I just take a bath in this hyaluronic acid? And we said, well, we'll make you a bath soak with hyaluronic acid. So you can take your scoop and put it in your bath water and soak, or you can use it as a foot soak. So with that, you know, I was just showing you some of the products. I mean, again, we got facial toners and misting and sprays for the facial area. We've got joint creams, rubs, so you can rub it on your joints and muscles overall. So a lot of different products that we carry, but the ones that you'll see at the store there are the optimized capsules, are great tasting, very flavored gummies, which is like taking a treat throughout the day. Our sugar-free chewables right here, these are excellent to get your hyaluronic acid, or our liquid supplement. That's our Synthovial 7. That was our first one that we rolled out with, or then the pure HA serum that I just put on. But they've got other products too. The one thing we want to do is get some textbooks sent into the store so that you guys can come in and look around and ask questions. But these little these little textbooks are real simple. We'll send some of them in. You guys can come in and pick one of them up and read a little bit more. I always tell people, do your own research. You know, don't listen to me. I mean, or anybody else. You can take what I tell you, but then go out and just do a search on hyaluronic acid online. I think you're going to find a ton of information out there that's going to back up what we talked about today. So with that, Gary, I'll zip it up so that we can answer some questions.
No, you can keep going. That was excellent, and thank you very much. We'll start at the top of the list and work our way down. The first question is, I've been taking hyaluronic acid for a year, for at least 3 years. Is it still beneficial, or does the benefit lessen over time?
Yeah, you know, that's a great question. A lot of people say, well, how long do I have to take hyaluronic acid? And we call them, you know, these are dietary supplements. What you guys have there at the pharmacy are dietary supplements. They're supplementing our body where our body leaves off. So we're really not going to ever reverse and start making hyaluronic acid again in our body. So this will be something that you want to incorporate into your daily routine for a long term. You know, it's like taking a multivitamin. You're going to continue to take that, or your vitamin D, or whatever it might be. You're going to continue to take it. I always tell people, try to get some baseline. See if your skin is getting better, or your joints are getting better, your eyes are getting better. Because, yeah, you can take it for 3 years and start thinking, well, maybe it didn't work. Then we have a lot of people that say, well, I'm going to stop taking it, and then they come back and they say, maybe it was working. I noticed some things. So I don't know, what's your thoughts on that, Gary?
Well, I like what you just said. A lot of people that I work with, they're not sure if they're getting better, and so we take a break. And what's interesting, if you're making slow progress forwards, a lot of times you don't notice it. But if you stop and you slide back a little, if you get a little worse, that stands out. A little better might not. So taking a break just reinforces in your mind. But as you said throughout the presentation, as we get older, it's breaking down. So the need for not mega doses, but the need for supplementing with it goes up every single year. Another question, I use the drops. Should I add water to it? I've been putting it directly under my tongue.
Yeah, you know, when we first started with that liquid, we said, hey, put it into a glass of water once daily. And then probably about 75–80% of the people we talked to said, I just take that stuff and squirt it directly into my mouth. So that's really kind of been the method of choice for a lot of people. They just squirt it directly into their mouth. And frankly, that's how we all take it here at Hyalogic. We squirt it directly into the mouth. We believe that, why not? You know,
and the absorption's fine.
Yeah, why take the chance of diluting it down if you don't have to? Now, if you don't like the flavor, of course, it's really pretty much essentially no flavor at all. It's an odorless, kind of tasteless product. But if you don't like that part of it, yeah, sure, you can mix it in with your water. But most people just squirt it directly into their mouth. And that's what we're finding out now, is if you hold it inside of your mouth, sometimes you can get some absorption that can take place there even.
Okay, the next question. I bought a bottle of 30 pills for joint damage that I have due to a side effect from my medication. I didn't notice any improvement. How long do I need to take it before I notice improvement? And so one thing I'll say is it depends upon how much damage is in the joint, how long it'll take if you're going to see some improvement. So I will turn it over to you.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know if it was our product they bought or another brand or whatever, but I mean, there's a lot of good brands out there. There's a lot of good products, but you know, yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, I'll be truthful with people. Like maybe give it another bottle shot, you know, a 60-day supply, and see what kind of results you're going to get. But from here, if you don't see results after that 60 days, we'll tell people try to find something different. Try to find another product, because there's plenty of good joint supplements out there, and we don't want to waste your time thinking that ours is the only one, but we believe that you should see results rather quickly within that 30 days. But give it another shot. I would encourage to try it one more time. But like you said, it depends on the severity, you know. Sometimes things take a little longer.
All right, and here's a good question. Well, they're all good questions. If HA is used all over the body, how does taking a pill know where it's needed? I have osteoarthritis and synovitis, so it has joints and eye problems due to side effects of a drug that I no longer take. And you know, body is, nature gave us a wonderful machine, and you don't, now granted, you showed that picture of them injecting HA right into a joint. Of course, that targets right to the joint. But in general, just like how does the body know when you drink water where it needs to go, or where do we need the iron, or where do we need the B12? So
I always tell people, I say, okay, so if you have a sore big toe and you take an aspirin, did you have to coach it and say, hey, go to the right hip and over to the left hip and go down? No, you didn't. Your body was very intelligent. It knew exactly where to put it at. So just as all of those supplements and different products that you guys carry at the pharmacy, anything you take by mouth, the body is very intelligent. It knows where it needs to be. Now, there is another thing that I didn't really cover, but there are what we call Cd44 receptors. They're a high-end receptor site for the hyaluronic acid. They're kind of like the landing strip for the hyaluronic acid airplane. And those little receptor sites are located all throughout our joints, in our skin, and our eyes. They're everywhere throughout the body, but they're highly congregated in those areas. So now that's why they're saying that if they're doing more and more research, they're saying maybe it's because of those receptor sites, it draws it into those areas. But again, if you take an aspirin for a sore toe, you didn't have to coach it and tell it where to go. And hyaluronic acid and other supplements should be able to do the same.
great. And just if you're using it for dry eye, taking it internally, it helps the body make better, more viscous tears. But adding it right in the eye drop, right to the eye, of course, you're going to get faster results because you're putting it right to where you need it. But that's not doesn't have to be that way. All right, does hyaluronic acid negatively interact with other supplements or foods? Do you have to take it with food, without food, away from supplements? Can it be taken with your vitamins?
Yeah, it's very compatible with other supplements, with other prescription, with other skincare products. The reason being is it's already naturally occurring inside of the body. You know, obviously we always tell them consult with your healthcare practitioner to double check on things. We used to always tell people when you go in to see your healthcare practitioner, take a list of everything that you're taking, you know, with you so that you can go over it with them to make sure that there isn't any interactions. But we feel like hyaluronic acid is one that you can take along with other supplements or with other products without any interference at all. As far as with or without food, it doesn't matter. Now, I think you and I were talking the other day. You were asking what's the best. I said, you know what? My preference is just without food anytime. Maybe it wasn't you, so I couldn't remember. I've talked to a lot of people, but you know, my preference would be without food. You know.
Yeah, but the nice thing is if you forget and you take it with a meal, it's not getting destroyed and you get absorption, which makes it nice.
The key with hyaluronic acid that we've seen is that you stay consistent with it. You do it every day and get a baseline and see if you get improvement.
Okay, next question, which I think you can answer generally but not specifically because you don't have medical um,
Sure.
records for the patient. I already take lysine, vitamin K2, glucosamine sulfate. Is this a good joint repairing combination without HA?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And if you're getting the results that you're looking for, then we want to be truthful and fair, and we say, stay doing what you're doing. I can't tell you how many times we go to a show, a consumer show, and people would say, well, I'm doing this and this and this. And I say, is it working? And they say, yeah. And I say, stay with it.
Right.
Don't change it. Stay with it, because a lot of people are so quick to want to go to the next big thing, and then
But if
they
it
ask,
isn't broken, don't fix
yeah,
it.
if it isn't broke, don't fix it. But if you're getting the results and you feel good about it, stay with that program. Absolutely. If you're not, then maybe consider trying hyaluronic acid.
Okay, next, can the liquid drops be used on the skin directly also?
Um, Technically, it's an oral use only, but there's, I, we know of people that I'm sure have been using it topically for their skin because it's basically hyaluronic acid in water. It's very similar to our pure hyaluronic acid serum that I squirted in the palm of my hand and put on my face. But, I would say probably if you wanted to try hyaluronic acid in pure form, you might want to try our skin serum that you guys carry at the pharmacy. And you've got some of these little pouches there, I think, too. And if you're out of them, I'll send some more in so people can come
Yeah,
in.
if you could, and you mentioned the booklets, and just to let everyone know, the booklets and the samples of the serum be in probably a week or 10 days. If you want to give us a call in about a week just to make sure they're there. And then when you're down, you can stop in and get something to read and something to rub on your skin. All right, another question. If you put the drops on the damaged skin from the sun, will that help?
Yeah, I mean, that's a kind of strange. We actually do have an after sun spray. People said, if I'm out in the sun and I got too much sun, I just want to have something to hydrate the skin and nourish it and moisturize it. So there is some benefit to topical hyaluronic acid for the the skin after you've been out in the sun for a long period of time. But it's very, as far as damaged skin or some sort, I mean, that would all need to be recommended by a medical practitioner.
And I would say, yes, it could help re-moisturize, but if the skin is damaged by sunburn, once that top layer gets fried by the sun, it's dead. And you can make yourself more comfortable. Okay, my skin is very sensitive. Do you use parabens or fragrances?
No, actually, sometimes we get a lot of people that will try our products and they'll go, you should put a fragrance in this thing, or you should make this smell like, some crazy aroma. And we're like, no, we want to leave those out. If we don't have to add them in, we want to go with as clean and natural as we can. I mean, that's what you guys are trying to do there at the store, is you want to leave out those products. As far as parabens and those other harmful ingredients, we've left out those out of our formulas. You guys wouldn't carry them in the store if they had those ingredients in there.
You're right.
I know that for a fact because in the beginning, we used to send products in for you guys to look at, and you say, no, we can't carry that one. We're not going to carry that one. That's not a good product. Go back and reformulate. And that's what we had to do over these years, is reformulate, because we've all had to learn what was good and what wasn't.
Great. And that was the end of our questions. I want to thank you very much for a great presentation. I think you gave us a lot to think about. I would also like to thank you and the company for all your support. We really appreciate it, and all the educational materials and the education you give us and our clients, like tonight. Another question just popped up. Can I use the pure HA serum for microneedling treatments?
Yeah, believe it or not, that's a hot area right now, is the microneedling and using a hyaluronic acid gel. Very popular right now. In fact, when we go, we also have a spa division, spa and esthetician division. And when we go to the spa and esthetician shows, that's the first thing they want to talk to us about, is microneedling with hyaluronic acid, because they're seeing the benefits. A lot of, a lot of things out there. They're pretty interesting.
Very interesting. So that's great. Everybody listening, I am recording this and it'll be up on our website at naturalcompounder.com/blog. And you'll be able to watch it again to get information. If you think of any questions, feel free to contact me. If I don't know the answer, I will get in touch with Darren and get back to you. And also, Customer Appreciation Week goes all week through Sunday. Everything in the Wellness Center is 20% off. You can order either online on our Shopify account. You can email us an order at CA for Customer Appreciation at naturalcompounder.com. You can stop in the store. Everyone is masked. We're limiting the number of people in the store, so you don't have to worry about social distancing when you're in. And if you have any questions, feel free to call us, 781-893-3870. And getting some comments coming in that this was great and keep up the good work, and it went over very well. So thank you very much. I appreciate
that. And thanks for that person writing that comment that it was good, because when you get done doing a training at the end of it, all you need is one person to say, hey, nice job, and you feel good about it. You know what I'm talking about? You've done lectures and you're doing a lot of trainings. How do I find out more of your lectures and trainings and stuff like that? I was trying to find those the other day.
Well, if you go to our blog and just type in lecture or webinars, we have them all up there. We also have a YouTube channel. If you look up Johnson Compounding or Gary Krakoff, we have probably 50 or 60 recordings up there. Also, we have a podcast which is on all the major networks. It's under Dr. Gary K. And we have everything that we do. We record it, and as long as technology works, it is up on our website. And if anyone's looking for any of this, please give me a call at the store, and I'll be glad to send you over the links.
I watched that one video that you did, and that was, I only got a chance to watch a few minutes of it, but I knew you were really going to get into a lot of, I think the neat thing about with you is you learn you take the science behind it and turn it into a layman's terms for people. You've learned how to simplify it down. And that was, I think I said the other day, that was your many years standing on the other side of the counter, educating your customers or the people coming into the pharmacy and trying to break it down to them. So you're doing a good job with that.
Well, thank you. And also what you said is true. You know what you think you're saying and how you're saying it, but you don't know how it's being received on the other side. But the nice thing is you can watch it on our blog site and see how you did.
That's right.
And you did excellent. Thank you very much. Well, everyone have a good night. We have a lecture at noon tomorrow, another one at 7, and then one on Thursday at 7. If you go to our blog at naturalcompounder.com/blog, we have a page for the Customer Appreciation Week with all the links to sign up and what the lectures are. And we also are having raffles usually at our Customer Appreciation Days. We have a table full of raffle baskets that our different vendors have donated, and we are doing that, but it's going to be virtually, so you can find out how to put your name in for the drawing on those also. So thank you. Have a great night, and I will talk to you soon.